Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. And today is an exciting day. I'm going to walk you through a full day of eating with me, and I'm going to keep it super simple. Just go through everything that I eat on a daily basis, minimally processed foods. I really focus on whole foods, no complicated recipes. Thank God I have a great wife who makes dinner every night, and we use ingredients that everyone can pronounce, single ingredient foods that you can find at the grocery store. And I'm going to break it all down for you today with the calories and the nutrients that I'm getting from each meal. I think it's really eye-opening to see how nourishing simple foods can be when you focus on quality ingredients. And that's what we do as a household. So let's dive in. All right, let's start with breakfast, which has become probably my favorite part of the day. Usually no one is up and I have an early breakfast to get things started. I keep it pretty simple. We're going with organic blueberries and whole Greek yogurt. For the yogurt, I use this Strauss organic Greek yogurt that I seem to like, and I switch back and forth between non-fat and whole fat, just depending on what my body needs for that day. Today, we're going to walk through my whole fat version because I love that creamy, rich texture. So that's just something I switch up from time to time. 1 cup of blueberries will give you about 85 calories, and obviously they're absolutely packed with antioxidants, specifically something called anthocyanins, which are incredible for brain health and help fight inflammation. So from that, I'm getting 21 grams of carbs, 4 grams of fiber, 15 grams of natural sugars, plus blueberries also have vitamin C, vitamin K, and manganese. The Strauss whole milk Greek yogurt I usually have about 3/4 of a cup of that, which is roughly about 170 calories. This gets me some serious protein punch, about 15 grams of protein to keep me full in the morning. I'm also getting about 9 grams of fat and 7 grams of carbs. Also important nutrients such as calcium, B vitamins, and probiotics for gut health. And what I'll occasionally do from time to time is I'll drizzle some raw organic honey on top. Typically about 1 to 2 tablespoons at most. That's 64 calories, 17 grams of carbs, all from natural sugars. And raw honey also contains trace amounts of enzymes, antioxidants, and minerals that you don't get from processed honey. So if you are implementing honey, make sure you get the raw, organic kind that you know exactly where it's coming from. So this part of the breakfast is giving me about 319 calories, 21 grams of protein, 45 grams of carbs, and 9 grams of fat. Fairly balanced meal right there. Now, on occasion, I'll add on, because I will say, growing up, I used to love cereal. Now, we know mainstream cereals are packed with artificial flavoring and ingredients we can't pronounce, but I found a great cereal made from the company called The Real Cereal Company. Pretty simple name. And they make these organic corn flakes, which is literally 1 ingredient, organic corn and sea salt. Well, that's 2, but no added sugars, no artificial anything. And I just find it just reminds me of my younger years, and I get about a cup to a cup and a half of these, which gives me about 165 calories, 36 grams of carbohydrates, and 4 grams of protein. It's a pretty neutral flavoring, so you can add fruits or whatever you want to add to it. Sometimes I'll cut up bananas. So a medium banana is about 105 calories, 27 grams of carbs with 3 grams of fiber, and loaded with potassium, which is great for heart health and muscle function. Bananas also have vitamin B6 and vitamin C. For the milk on my cereal, occasionally I'll use coconut milk, but in this example, I'm going to use a half a cup of whole milk, which adds about 75 calories, 4 grams of protein, 4 grams of fat, and 6 grams of carbs. And you also get some calcium and vitamin D as well. So the cereal portion of my breakfast adds another 345 calories, bring my total breakfast up to about 664 calories, 37 grams of protein, and 14 grams of carbs, and 13 grams of fat. For some, this might seem like a lot of carbohydrates, but these are complex carbs from whole food sources, so you're getting fiber, vitamins, and minerals. So my energy stays steady all morning, and I find that I'm not crashing like an hour later. This usually keeps me satisfied to my second meal, which would be lunch. And typically I have my lunches after my midday workout. So I usually have some water between now and then. And if I do a workout, occasionally I'll have some coffee, maybe put a little creamer in there as a pre-workout and go from there. And then I usually do my workout. And after that, my workout, then we're talking about having some lunch. I prefer to keep my lunch lighter than typically my breakfast and my dinners. That's just something that I just find works well for me. So for lunch, I usually try to keep it pretty simple. Maybe some cottage cheese and fruit, or some scrambled eggs and avocado, or both. Let's start with the cottage cheese. I have about 1 cup of regular cottage cheese. I like the full fat version most of the time, although sometimes I'll use the non-fat. And this really keeps me satisfied, and I get some quality protein as well. That gives me about 220 calories, 25 grams of protein, 8 grams of carbs, and 10 grams of fat. Cottage cheese is also rich in calcium, phosphorus, B vitamins, and especially B12. Now with the cottage cheese, I either cut up an apple or perhaps a nectarine or a plum, depending on what's in season and what looks good. So let's say a medium apple is about 95 calories, 25 grams of carbs, 4 grams of fiber, virtually no fat or protein. But apples give me things like vitamin C, antioxidants, like quercetin, and that's pretty satisfying. So the combination of cottage cheese and apple is honestly one of my favorite simpler meals that I have in the middle of the day. Now to add on, I'll have some scrambled eggs, maybe 3 large eggs scrambled with a tiny bit of butter, maybe about a half a tablespoon of that. 3 eggs gives me about 220 calories, 18 grams of protein, 15 grams of fat, and 1.5 grams of carbohydrates. So obviously, as you know, eggs are incredibly nutrient dense. They have vitamin A, vitamin D, B vitamins, selenium, choline, which is crucial for brain health as well. And the butter adds about 50 calories and 6 grams of fat and is great to cook your food in. So finally, sometimes I'll add a half an avocado on the side. Avocados obviously are amazing. So 1/2 of an avocado gives me about 120 calories, 6 grams of carbs with 5 grams of fiber, and 11 grams of healthy monounsaturated fats and 2 grams of protein. I'm also getting potassium, vitamin K, folate, and vitamin E. Plus the healthy fats help me absorb all my fat-soluble vitamins from my other foods as well. So my total lunch comes to about 695 calories with 45 grams of protein, 41.5 grams of carbs, and 42 grams of fat. It's lighter than breakfast in terms of total calories, but I'm getting a lot of protein, healthy fats that keep me satisfied for the afternoon. Now let's talk about dinner. And typically my wife and I like to eat on the earlier side because we want to be done and give ourselves about 3 hours before bedtime for digestion. And my wife Erin really shines in the kitchen. And we usually make one of 3 staples for our meals, and this can switch from time to time. Honestly, they're all so good we never get tired of them. So first up, and probably our most frequent dinner, is a steak bowl or sometimes a chicken bowl. But in this example, we're going to use steak bowls, which is what I prefer. This is definitely better than your average steak bowl that you're getting from Chipotle. I know that's hard to understand. I know a lot of people love those Chipotle bowls, but this puts them in the dust. And we use grass-fed steak, organic white rice, corn, avocado, and sauteed onions and peppers. So let me break this down. 6 ounces of grass-fed sirloin gives you about 340 calories, 50 grams of protein, 14 grams of fat, and 0 carbohydrates. Grass-fed beef is also high in omega-3 fatty acids and CLA as well compared to conventional beef. If you're going to have conventional beef, that is fine. We have that from time to time as well. I know grass-fed beef can get expensive. With that, we have 1 cup of cooked organic white rice. I bought a rice maker over the last year. Love that. So 1 cup of cooked rice gets you about 205 calories, 45 grams of carbohydrates, 4 grams of protein, and less than a half a gram of fat. I love white rice. It's something that we've added on. It's something I used to not eat that much of, but it's easily digestible. It's a great clean carbohydrate, and it goes well with almost anything. So with that, a half a cup of corn gives me about 65 calories, 15 grams of carbohydrates, and 2 grams of fiber, also 2 grams of protein with the corn. Usually I will add in a half of avocado as well as there, and that's another 120 calories, 11 grams of healthy fats, and 6 grams of carbohydrates. From there, we'll have some sauteed onions and peppers on it, cooked in about a tablespoon of olive oil. That adds roughly 150 calories, 14 grams of fat from olive oil, and about 8 grams of carbs from the vegetables. Gives you tons of vitamin C and antioxidants and anti-inflammatory compounds. So a complete steak bowl gives me about 880 calories, 56 grams of protein, 74 grams of carbohydrates, and 39 grams of fat. Now, we also rotate in some other dinners, obviously, from time to time. One is some great clean fish from Seatopia. A few years back, I had the founder of Seatopia on the Get Lean, Eat Clean podcast, and so I know exactly where the fish is coming from. They actually source it and have farm-raised fish, but it's fed its appropriate diet, and there's no microplastics. mercury or any heavy metals within these within the fish. So check it out if you haven't. Cetopio, it's a great way to get your fish. Salmon would give you around 350 calories, 40 grams of protein, 21 grams of fats, and a cod, for example, would be leaner, about 180 calories, 40 grams of protein, and about 2 grams of fat. So either way, we pair it with rice, and it's a clean, protein-rich meal. The third rotation would be some ground beef from Force of Nature. And Force of Nature is great. It's regenerative farming, and I've been using this for the last probably 5 years. My wife Erin makes amazing bolognese with organic spaghetti or homemade meatballs. 6 ounces of their grass-fed ground beef is about 340 calories, 42 grams of protein, and 18 grams of fat. Add in 2 cups of cooked organic spaghetti, and you're at about 400 calories and 80 grams of carbs, plus her tomato sauce with herbs and vegetables, and you've got yourself a seriously great, satisfying, nutrient-dense meal. So these are 3 dinners that are absolutely staples in the house, and we know exactly what's in them, quality ingredients, and satisfying and nutrient-dense. So that's why I love eating from home, and I do have a bit of a sweet tooth, so what I like to have after the meal is I'll bring back the trusty cup of cornflakes. Is 110 calories and 24 grams of carbohydrates, and I add a little bit of what's called cocoa nibs. These are raw crushed cocoa beans, and they give you that chocolate flavor without any added sugar. And I add about 2 tablespoons of that, which is about 120 calories, 8 grams of fat, 12 grams of carbs, with 4 grams of fiber and 3 grams of protein. Cocoa nibs are also loaded with antioxidants, magnesium, and iron. For the milk, I use coconut milk from a carton, about a half a cup, which is about 40 calories, 4 grams of fat, 1 grams of carbs, and it's a creamy, natural, sweet, and perfect way to end the day. I like to call it like a healthier dessert, and that's about 270 calories, 3 grams of protein, 37 grams of carbs, and 12 grams of fat. Now, like I mentioned before, something that we try to stay fairly consistent with, it being done around 6:30, 7 o'clock. We absolutely make sure that we give ourselves at least 3 hours to digest before bed, which is crucial for quality sleep and digestion. One thing I also try to do after my meals is go for walks, along with something that I emphasize with my clients as well. So if you can get in a walk after each meal, that would be great, or even after that dinner meal, that would definitely help with digestion, and also great for blood sugar management and just getting outside and moving. All right, let's add everything up for the complete day of eating in a life of Brian, with breakfast, lunch, and dinner using the steak bowl example, and dessert. A little over 2,500 calories, 141 grams of protein, 266 grams of carbohydrates, and 106 grams of fat. Now, obviously, those numbers are going to vary depending on what option we have for dinner, and the fish option is a little bit lighter, while the pasta option might be a little bit higher in calories and carbohydrates, but the principle stays the same. Everything is whole foods, single ingredients, items that we prepare at the house. No mysterious additives, inflammatory seed oils, or ultra-processed junk. So what I really love about eating this way is just how good that I feel from a day-to-day basis. My energy's stable throughout the day. I'm not getting afternoon crashes. I'm having amazing sleep, and I'm fueling my body with actual nutrients instead of just empty calories. So that's what I eat in a day when I'm focusing on simple whole foods. Everything, for the most part, if we can get it, is organic, and we know exactly where it's being sourced, minimally processed. Typically like to eat at home. No takeout, no packaged meals, just real ingredients. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like it, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Drop a comment below and let me know what your simple go-to meals are. I'm curious, what do you eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? I'm always looking for new ideas and ways to change it up and make it uncomplicated. So thanks again for watching. Have a great rest of the day, and I'll see you in the next video.